Hello friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Amplifier, and today we are back with another interesting concept related to Snowpark, which is becoming very popular among data engineers while working with Snowflake. So already in our previous video we started discussion on Snowpark from scratch. We understood how to read the data from a Snowflake table and process it and load in a destination table. We understood how to read the data from external Snowflake stage if the data is in CSV format or Parquet format or Json format, etc., etc. What are the challenges, how to resolve them using iceberg concept, all these things we discussed. If you want to know those detailed explanations, you can check the link given in the description box, because those prerequisite videos will surely help you to understand this particular concept. Okay, so today what we are going to discuss is writing stored procedure in Snowflake using Python. So earlier mostly we were writing our stored procedures using JavaScript and SQL, and now the thing is many data engineers love to work with Python just like me. So in that case, learning JavaScript may act as a new burden, or the learning curve might be steeper. It will take some time to be very comfortable with that JavaScript. Although we discussed with certain template based code writing, but still there are certain challenges, right? So to overcome that challenge, if you want to work with stored procedure and if you are from Python background, then you can use Snowpark directly within the stored procedure and write Python code as we generally write. So that's what we are going to discuss today in this video, okay? So for this discussion, I am dropping a database if it exists, creating the fresh database and using that database, okay? So here all three codes are executed successfully. Now let's see the template, what we have to follow while writing any stored procedure using Python, okay? So that is create or replace procedure, and then here you can give the stored procedure name. So first stored procedure what we are going to discuss is multiplication. A very simple stored procedure. We will pass two arguments as input. It will return the multiplication result. Suppose for example you are calling the multiply together this particular stored procedure with argument 2, 3, then the output should be 2 multiplied by 3, that is 6. If you are calling with 3, 3, then 3 multiplied by 3 result is 9. So the stored procedure calling will return 9 as outcome. Okay, that's how it should work, and that logic we have to write. So we are first discussing the template. So it is same like earlier the first line, that we need to pass two arguments whatever we want to give as input with respective data type. Okay, and the return type we can mention string or something as per your requirement. The language here we need to mention Python, because we are going to write the stored procedure using Python. And the Snowflake Snowpark, as we already discussed, only work with 3.8. So here we need to write 3.8 as of now. Okay, and package. What are the packages required within the particular stored procedure in that Python code? So here we are starting with very basic stored procedure. So only the Snowflake Snowpark Python package is sufficient. Nothing else is required. Okay. Now here comes the most important part, handler. So what it is basically saying, that here you need to provide that particular function name which will be called once the stored procedure we are executing. Okay. So suppose that Python function name is multiplier. Okay. Multiplier. Right. Now here within this dollar you have to write that definition. So def and then here multiplier. Okay, right? Now what should be its input? So here whatever we are giving input in the stored procedure, that both numbers we should be passing for this particular function also, so that it will multiply them. So I can write a comma b. So that way what will happen, input number 1 will go to a variable and input number 2 will go to b variable. Okay. Now, just like in Python, how we write a function, give colon and then give indentation, and then here you can write return a multiplied by b. Okay, semicolon is totally optional, right? So this is more or less our code. Now, one more thing we need to pass, that if you recall our previous video while working with Snowpark, we were creating a session, right? So this particular session is required not in this case necessarily, but sometimes suppose you want to read some Snowflake table and do some transformation and all. So always in the Python function, what the stored procedure is calling, there first you need to write session. Okay. Now let's execute this particular code. So it is compiling. So here see, it got created. Now let's execute this particular stored procedure with some input 2, 3. So what is the result we should get? That is 6. So we are getting 6. Suppose we are calling 3, 3. Then we should get 9. Suppose we are calling with 3, 5, then we should get 15. 5 multiplied by 3 is 15. Like that. Okay, as simple as that. I hope you are getting it. just you can use this particular template, and here in the handler part you need to write that particular function what it will call. Okay, suppose in your Python code in the body part you are writing multiple functions, then first time what function it will call, that particular function name you need to provide in the handler part. Okay, that you need to do properly, and don't forget to put this session as a first argument for the function. Okay, now let's go to the next interesting stored procedure what we are going to write, that is reverse string. Okay, so here what we'll do, we will just pass a string and we want to get the reverse of that particular string, as simple as that, a simple Python code. So here what I will do, I will maybe copy this particular code only and paste that here, right? And here I can give reversal as name. So the same handler name we have to provide here, and then here we need only one argument, so a comma b is not needed, only a, that one string is sufficient. And now to reverse this string we can use the indexing concept colon colon -1, as simple as that. If you want you can basically assign this in a variable, and that one also you can return. For example, m is equal to this and then return ms. Okay, just like how we declare a Python variable that. Okay, so let me execute that. So here it is compiling. So here it got created. Now I can basically call reversing ABC. So we should get CBA. That is basically reverse version. We are getting that. Similarly, suppose we are reversing the string BMHS, we should get SHMB. See, we are getting that. Okay. So I hope you are getting it, that writing stored procedure using Python is nothing but a piece of cake. If you just use this particular common template, within that you can write any Python code as per your requirement. I hope you are getting it. Now the next particular stored procedure what we are going to practice is basically a stored procedure which will return us the current user, the warehouse it is using, and the current schema. Okay, so here you see the template, we use the same create or replace procedure. So in this case we no need any input argument, just we want to get the current user, current warehouse, current schema, that's all. Now here we are returning string not null, language we are using Python, runtime this, package this, same like earlier. Now handler, this is basically the Python function what we have to create. Okay, so here no other input argument, just we need to pass session. Okay, and give colon and then give a tab, and now here we need to write that particular code which will help us to fetch the current user warehouse schema. Okay, now if you recall our first Snowpark discussion, that time only I discussed this particular topic. Let me switch to PyCharm. So here if you see this particular code, we are importing all the necessary modules, we are configuring the connection parameters in a dictionary, we are creating the session, and then we are executing an SQL query. So let me just show you. So here what I will do, I will open a Python shell, and here I will provide these imports, and then here I will configure connection parameter. I will give user ID password, which I cannot show you. So I have basically configured user ID password and executed this particular dictionary in the terminal. Now I will create the session. If everything is okay, then the session will be created, and then here we can execute this particular command to get current warehouse, current database, and current schema. Okay, so here see, current warehouse is compute wh, current database is ramu, current schema is public. If you want to get the result, you can also do like this way, print of this particular code, then dot collect. If you recall, in Spark we execute dot collect to get the data. Here I pasted 2 times, I can delete once, and now let me execute. So it is returning a row object. Okay, now this row object you can convert to dictionary. It is also very simple. See, it is basically returning as a list. So first what we need to do, we need to take the element from the list, that is 0th element we are taking, and then dot as dict we have to use to convert these to dictionary. Okay, in this one, and see, it is returning a dictionary beautifully, which is showing the current warehouse is compute wh, current database key is ramu, current schema is basically public. So this kind of key value pair it is returning. Now the same code you can basically execute in the stored procedure also, because this is just a SQL query, right? So here to fetch the current user, current warehouse, and current schema, I can just execute this kind of command. Just I will apply a return first. That's all. Okay, so maybe I will give the same function like here and here both place. So stored procedure name, handler, that is main Python code name I have kept same. So here this particular one will be called. It will collect the result set, and after collecting it will fetch the first element from the list and it will convert that to dictionary. Okay. So let's hope it will work. Let's see. So it is compiling. So it is done. Now let's execute this particular. So see here, if I just click on this and bring this up, current warehouse, computer base, current database ramu, current schema public. Okay, like that, warehouse, database name, schema name, everything you can get. Suppose you want to get current user, then what you can do? Just here you can write current hyphen user, comma. Okay, then execute the code. It is just taking some time to compile, and then I can execute this particular stored procedure with call command. And if I click on that, here current user sort of will display. Okay, right? So this is how it is running the dictionary. So I hope up to this you got a fair enough understanding that I can simply write a Python code and then I can do any operation on top of that. Just I need to configure the same Python function name in the handler, which is getting called for the first time. You might have multiple functions within the body, but what function will be called for the first time? That you need to write in the handler part. Okay. And another thing is you need to pass the session, and using session.sql, how we read the data or do any activity in Snowpark from Python, same kind of all the activities is possible from the stored procedure as well. Okay, I hope these two things are clear. Now the last thing what we are going to observe is, suppose we want to do some ETL operation. Okay, joins, group by, or whatever operation you can think of, whatever we do generally in PySpark. That kind of activity, if you want to do using stored procedure and Snowpark, that also is possible. So such a code example is shown here. We are creating a stored procedure with this name. Here we are taking two input arguments. So what this stored procedure will do is basically, first it will take one input as SQL query, and it will execute that SQL query. Whatever result set will be generated, that it will ingest in the destination table. Okay, so the destination table name we are taking as second argument, as simple as that. Right, now here this particular part is same like our earlier discussion. Execute as caller, execute as owner, all these things I discussed earlier. You can check the description link to explore more. And the same handler function we are defining here, Snowpark session. So here either you can write session, Snowpark session, whatever, but the same name has to be used throughout if you are executing some SQL query or reading the data using Snowpark. Okay, that's all. It is not like you have to always use the word session. You can use Snowpark session or something, not a problem. But that particular one only you have to use internally in the body in .sql or something. Suppose here you are giving the name as A, then here you have to write a.sql like that. Okay. Now here we are defining the rest two arguments for our this particular Python function, which is coming from the stored procedure input, that is input metadata command. What SQL query we want to execute, that is coming as this argument, and the destination table name where the data will be ingested, that is coming here. Okay, obviously optionally you can mention the data type here also, not a problem. Now here what we are doing, using the Snowpark session, we are reading the SQL query result set, whatever query we passed in the metadata command. Okay, it is just like session.sql we were doing from Python, same thing we are doing here. Only the difference with respect to Python is here, because we are executing these Snowpark codes in Snowflake itself, so we no need to create any connection parameter or something, because already it is within Snowflake only. But because from Python when we are running, that is outside Snowflake, that's why here we need to first create the connection parameter. That's okay, that's the difference. So here using the SQL command, we are executing that SQL query and reading that particular data and storing in the result df, and that result df data we are writing in the destination table in overwrite manner, and we are returning it is successfully written. Okay, here in the string formatting also it is same like Python. So here within curly bracket you can mention the string what you want to replace. So here if the write operation is successful, we want to return succeeded result inserted into the table, destination table, whatever the user is passing as input, right? So that's why here we have done string formatting to return the different destination table name dynamically, and if any exception occurs, we are raising that exception, just like Python try and except block, and except exception as E. So here this particular exception will handle all the exception, right? So that exception we are returning if the exception occurs, right? So let's create this particular stored procedure quickly. So it is compiling and it is done. Now here what we will do, first we will create a table. Suppose the table name is source table and we will insert some data in it. So see here 7 rows got inserted. Now here what we want to do, on top of the source table we want to execute an SQL query, and that result set we want to write in a table having name hello world. Okay, so what query we are executing, select star from source table where employee number greater than or equal to 104. So if you see our source table, let me just show you. So if you see our source table, employee number greater than or equal to 104 is these 3 rows. So what will happen? This SQL query will be executed. It will get these 3 rows and it will insert in the hello world table in override manner. Okay, because here in the stored procedure, we are executing that SQL query, reading the result set in a data frame, we are writing that data frame as simple as that, right? So here what we will do, let's execute. But before that, let me show you that hello world table is not existing. So see, it is not existing, it is clearly showing. Now here I will call this particular stored procedure, it is compiling and it is done. Now here if I do select star from hello world, you will get the same employee information who are having employee number greater than or equal to 104, as simple as that. Okay, so using this way, if you are comfortable with Python, then using Python only you can write the stored procedure using Snowpark and play with it. I'll be sharing the documentation link in the description box, from where you can explore much more about this powerful feature of writing Snowflake stored procedure using Python. This is all for this video. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share and comment. Subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed till now. And don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. Thank you for watching.